Hey everybody! Looks like we made it to yet another Wednesday. God bless. I hope everyone is having a very good week. I'm so glad you are here. I think everything is working correctly. I'm not sure. So what I'm going to do is I am going to go to my library on YouTube and see how it looks on the big picture. There it is, part 6. So it looks like we're live and we have 2 people watching. And who will those 2 people be? Let's see. Oh, look at that. We have, so you have an echo, is that correct? So let's fix that echo. I don't think I hear an echo on my end. So other than Wendy, is there an echo, you guys? Echo on my end. So other than Wendy, is there an echo, you guys? No, we're good. Everything's fine. So good to see you, Wendy, Willie, and John. Thank you so much for hanging out. No, we're good. Everything's fine. So good to see you, Wendy, Willie. Okay, so very cool, very cool. Okay, so let's go ahead and start today, part 6, which is very exciting. One thing I do want to start today off with, and it's a bit of sad news. And let's see, just going to be one moment, and I am going to go right here to pictures, and let's see here. Now today the airbrush world lost a very great artist, and this is Mike Lavalle, and everyone knows about him. And hey Gloria, good to see you. How are you? Mike Lavalle was an amazing airbrush artist, fantastic. Fantastic innovator in doing airbrush for cars and automotive. He started the whole True Fire thing. Hey Tone, how you doing? So I just and he passed away, I believe, today. So I just wanted to, dedicate this live stream to him. I didn't know him personally, but everyone who touches an airbrush basically knows this person, and he's just a fantastic artist. And the airbrush community, the art world, I think, is going to really miss him. Like I said, I didn't have the privilege to know him, but I knew of his work and how fantastic, and I seen some of his live streams he would do now and then. Just really fantastic. And but this video is for, this live stream is for Mike, dedicated to him, and his, what he brought to the table, to the airbrush world, is definitely appreciated by me and just everybody. So so that's basically, we'll just leave it at that, and just know that we won't forget him. And I just have to make this picture smaller. Let's see. Okay, let's see here. Just make this picture smaller. It'll just be one moment, guys. Let's see. Here we go. Okay. All right, guys. Thank you so much for coming by. And Steven, good to see you. How's it going? I just want to say thank you, everyone, for hanging out and being with parts 1 through 5. This is part 6. This is where it really gets good. And so that's pretty exciting. So, yes, very sad news. Very, very sad news. And, the airbrush world definitely lost one of their giants, And, it's like, without these guys who came before us, this wouldn't be happening, you know? So John is being doing good for being cooped up. And yes, the True Fire DVDs, Willie, those are just amazing. And so, yeah, I think a lot of us, have learned a lot from him. So good to see Steve, and that's exciting. And so, very, very cool stuff. And all right, so I have the media mixture in my airbrush, and what I'm going to do is the first thing we're just going to work on this little soft area in the hair. And you see here, it really doesn't look like hair at all, right? It basically is just this. Oh, thank you, Gloria. That's wonderful. Yes, and so that's, it's really a tough time. A lot of people losing family members and everything. So yes, prayers and strength for the family is definitely a wonderful thing to pray for. And okay, so let's go ahead, and we're just going to work on just working in this real abstract shape. You really can't even think of it as hair, right? It's just something that is, very, very nondescript. You really, if I just shown this to you and isolated, you'd be like, what the heck is that, Tim, right? So how's everybody doing? Anyone taking any classes or anything like that? How's everyone dealing with the lockdown, so to speak? The shelter in place? For me, sometimes all I want to do is sleep, and I have to fight not to do that, because every day sort of blends into the next, right? Do you guys feel that? And what are some ways that you guys are actually, yes, Wendy, very abstract shapes, and what are some of the ways that you guys are combating it, John says no break, working from home. Are there other people here also working from home? Now, Willie, I know that you work late at night. Are you home? Are you out working in your job, Willie? Oh, look at that. Tone said he kind of got his groove back. So that's pretty cool. So I'm glad to hear that. Tone does some really great airbrush painting. So Steve says he's doing working from home. And Steve, do you mean like your airbrush working, your art? Wendy's bored from home. And it's like, thank God for my online classes. I mean, that really helps some regularity to my life, and I really appreciate that a lot. So Willie has to work. Wow. And as you can see right now, I'm just really just trying to get this abstract shape, and you really can't go too wrong with this here, right? I mean, just what you have to do is for me, I think I have to extend this out further, this shape here. There we go. And what that's going to do is just, hey Marty, good to see you, working at the body shop. Wow, so you're business as usual for yourself. And Steven says that the studio is shut down, but he brought everything home because he was going through airbrush withdrawal. I hear that. That would be rough. That would definitely be rough. So I'm glad you do great work there, Steve. So got to keep that going, just for all the people like myself who just love your stuff. Oh, so welding's an important job. Definitely. You know, you don't want things falling apart. So that is an important job there. Willie, I'm glad you do that. So now I went ahead and pretty much got that shape. And so unfortunately, Wendy's at her mom's residence, and she's unable to airbrush. So that could definitely lead to boredom, that's for sure. As you see there, we're just getting that shape, and then we're going to also work on some of the lighter shapes as well. So Gloria, you went out today. Did you experience anything out of the ordinary when you went out today? I went out real quick. I had to go to the bank, and just amazing how quiet everything is out there. Okay, that's cool. There we go. And so just, oh yes, with a mask? I definitely went out with a mask, yes, that's for sure. Mask and gloves, and if I had a hazmat suit, I would wear it. But everyone wears gloves in New Jersey. Oh, you're heading out tomorrow morning. You didn't go out today. Okay, cool. I remember the day when we all went out every day. Remember, Gloria? Those were the good old days. And as you can see, I'm just putting a little bit of texture on, a little bit of texture here. And I'm going to use different erasers. And remember my rule, progressively aggressive. So when you're erasing, you start with the least aggressive eraser, and if it doesn't work, you just get progressively more aggressive with the erasers. And what that ensures you is to not get too dark too early, okay? So you don't want to, I'm sorry, what ensures you is that you don't tear in the paper. I got my principles mixed up there. What day is today? I'm just kidding. I know it's Wednesday. If it wasn't for my live streams, I would be all over the place. Wendy says she's ordering from she's not ordering from Walmart anymore. They were not wearing gloves or a mask. That's illegal here in New Jersey and New York. So that's bad. I don't blame you, Wendy. I would not shop there until they're compliant with that. Yes, Gloria, we missed those days, right? Oh my goodness. They seem like they were so far away, right? Like that was forever ago. Like that was a different world. And it literally was a different world. So you can see right now, we are just adding some texture, just a little bit of detail in her hair. And one of the main things is to really pay attention to the edges. How those edges actually buttress up against each other. The adjacent shapes are so important, you know. Hey Brad, good to see you. How are you, sir? So today was a good day. I was able to actually be more prepared before the live stream today. So that was good. So you see, I'm just loving just getting a little tonal variation, nothing too crazy, but it really is translating as hair, you know. So Steve says he's have unfortunately saved money not going to bars. Oh my goodness. Well, that's a good thing, right? You can pocket that money and get some airbrush stuff or something, you know. And we're just going to pull that over and just going with this, which is a knock 3.4, and not going with this with the mono 0. This would actually tear into the paper a little bit more. So you want to use the least aggressive eraser for the job. So that's really cool. Come to one of my live stream lessons. Yes, I do have sangria. That's true. So that's really cool. And so John says, I bought an awesome truck five years ago. I'm getting 1 tank of gas to a month. Wow, gas prices have gone down a lot, you know. And people aren't using the gas anymore because no one's going on long trips. I would love to go see my mom. She's about 45 minutes away. I haven't seen my mom or my sisters in a long time. But, you know, with this whole, you know, shelter in place order, that's impossible. So, so you're saying that in Texas, where you are, outside of Dallas, it's hard to get gas now? There we go. Oh, that's right. Yeah, the prices are so low, right? They're not going to stay too low. That's for sure. So this Saturday, I'm going to do it again. I'm just going to have a on Facebook and here on YouTube. I'm going to have a very simple live stream, not airbrush, just some art lessons that everyone can enjoy. And you just need a piece of paper, an eraser, a pencil, and some toilet paper. That's all you need. So we're going to do that again, you know. So John says that, oh, Wendy says, no, it's not hard to get gas. It's cheap and I haven't needed it. Oh, I see. It's like, too bad you can't get some and put it aside, right? Brad says he went through a full tank of gas with his truck on Saturday in about 4 hours. Wow. Well, that was a long trip. I believe you were doing some work with that, right? And bucking a wind with the stock trailer. Oh, wow. And John says he normally drives 60 hours a day round trip to work. Now he just walks to the office past the kitchen. Oh, thinking of money you're saving, right? That's fantastic. But I'm sure you'd rather be on the road, right, John? That's for sure. Still with the light mixture, and so that's really important. So toilet paper, can't we use something cheaper like gold leaf? Exactly. That's hilarious. And just working on the edges here in her forehead. Now, one of the things I was saying to my student the other day was how important it is to how really important it is to really work on those edges and really see those edges for. Whoa, look at that, guys. That's pretty cool, huh? I'm just going to get the contrast a little bit. Put a little more contrast here so you can see her. There we go. Let's see how that looks. I think that looks a little better. And I was also saying not only that, but how important a hairline is to get a likeness. That's one of the real keys to getting a likeness is the hairline. Because the hairline does several things. Oh, well, thank you, Brad. Brad says she's looking great, so I appreciate that. So John says working from home is boring. And I can definitely understand if you're used to getting out there, and so we were saying about how the hairline is really crucial because not only does it describe the edges of the forehead to the hair, and it describes the shape of the hair as well as the shape of the forehead. And if those things are off, it's just not going to look like your subject. So that's a very important thing to really pay attention to. And so you see how now we're just moving things around. And I'm going to leave this little curve here just to bring some of that energy. So I want to bring that energy. So one of the things that I will do is I will right now change some of the shapes of the hair just to try and echo and bring some of that. See how I changed the shape of the hair to bring in that movement. Hey, what's up, Bill? Good to see you. How's it going? Bill says working from home, you know, does get old after a couple of years. Yes, I've been basically working from home since 2017, mid 2017, when my company disbanded. And, you know, I had a couple of temp jobs here and there, but basically been this the whole time, you know. So it's really been rough. Canvas is essential. So you painted on canvas, Bill. And as you see, we just continue with that soft edge here. And remember my 1 second rule: to paint for a second only after you look for a second, and stick in that 1-to-1 ratio. Okay, so right here, we're going to look at this negative shape right here. You see this is a negative shape, and I want to make sure I got that correct. So we're just going to go ahead and revisit that shape. Let's see. And I'm going to go back into this with the light mixture, with the dark mixture, and really start to, you know, get a little better with the shapes, and then the values, and then after the values, the edges. And you see I'm moving around, which is very important. And let's see. Okay, so like I said, you want to go as least aggressive as possible. So I'm going to use my kneaded eraser, which is the least aggressive of all the erasers. I'm going to try and put some detail in the shadows. You know, shadows are not just one value, a nice hard value, and that's it. That's not the case. Within shadows, there are details, and the reason being is the face or the arms or anything that's organic is not just you know, a geometric shape like something like this where it's man-made. People have bones and muscles, and so there's a lot of different ebbing and flowing of the shapes. So we definitely, in those shadows, we have to help describe that by really paying attention, you know. So Hobby Lobby is really good. I worked on Belgian linen when I was in the academy. A friend of mine, fellow student, gave me a piece, and it was just like painting on glass. It was so wonderful. So I really enjoyed that. Oh, canvas. Is that something that they want, or is that something that you prefer, Bill? Because there are much less expensive alternatives, and that's just my question. And so we're just going to lightly sort of clean this up over here. So you can see, as we're looking at not only the shapes, but also the shapes inside the shapes, and then things are just really just becoming more polished, you know? There we go. And let me just zoom out just a little bit. I see, no framing. I personally love working on wood panel. It's I believe it's more durable, and but that's just my opinion. Canvas is just, you know, it grows and shrinks over time. There's like preservation issues, so that's my feeling about canvas. I just think you know, people, they just love canvas like they love oil paint. They don't know why, but they feel that oil paint is more sophisticated, and it isn't, you know. But I can definitely see, you know, how a customer would definitely say, I want that. Yes, gesso board, you know, I make my own board, so I definitely agree with you there, Bill. Uh, Definitely superior to work on. Plus, you can control the surface. You know, you can put as many coats on canvas as possible, but it's still going to not be, for me, not exactly what I want, you know? Yeah, exactly. Oh, this is a canvas, blah, 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 right? You know? And you look at some of Hans Holbein's paintings, some of the Northern Italian Renaissance paintings, they're all done. Now, okay, I agree. If you're doing a, you know, a 6 foot by 4 foot painting, then yeah, I think canvas is probably your best bet because, you know, that's going to be one heavy painting and, you know, it's just going to be a headache. But the normal size, definitely, we want to uh, definitely, for me, wood. Or I know somebody asked me not too long ago, they want to do something larger than the paper. What would they use? And sometimes when, like, the wood panel, they want still like a papery texture. Illustration board is really good, and so that's cool. Uh, oh, so Bill says he likes one factor. If you have a poor reference, the weave would wash out some detail. Okay, that's a very good thing. Yes, that's very cool. And then Steve says he's been using ampersand boards, and they have worked out very well, especially the museum series. Not too expensive too. Ampersand's a good company. I've used them. Uh, my one poor thing about ampersand is that when you have the colored ampersand, they just seem to absorb the pigment a little. I used them when I was working. I still work in pastel, but some of my pastel paintings. Uh, you can make cheap canvas have you can make a cheap canvas have better texture, smooth with no weave. YouTube videos, yeah, but it's, you know what it is, Wendy. I still feel it moving, and those stretchers. I hate those stretchers with a passion, and it just doesn't feel right to me. And remember, I was at the National Academy, and everyone was like, "Oh, you need to be working in in canvas." Well, I was broke as I am now, and but I was even more broke in college, and there was no way I'm going to spend $40 on a canvas when I could spend $11 and get 4 times as much many boards, and I can prepare my own surface. So that's basically uh, stretcher bars suck, lack of a better term, and you know sometimes they'll start tearing into, over the years they'll start tearing away from the staples. It's just, but that's just my own opinion. Don't go by my opinion. That's just my travels and just being, you know, you get a lot more for less, you know. And Steve says, no, Tone says, I gesso my canvas until it's smooth like paper. Yeah, a lot of gesso we have to use for that to happen. So Bill says, I mean, from a cost standpoint, if you buy a super cheap canvas, I can get gesso smooth, but that's still a super cheap canvas, and that's, you know, the stuff. Yeah, I never want to discourage anybody. I think if anyone loves canvas, then go for it. It's all about personal preference, right? That's how I look at it. So as you see, I'm just smoothing things out, you know, and that's true. Yes, I hear that. And so as you see, I'm just gonna make her arm turn more, and how I'm gonna do that is adding some more white here. And remember, if I want to get even more white, I'm going to use a softer pastel. Now remember, I've been pastel painting for a very, very, very long time. So one thing I do know about is pastel and the different brands. So, and they have different degrees of how much pastel they'll leave out. So I can go from the Pitt Pastel pencil right there and get, you know, the amount I want, but it's only going to be to a certain level. And then as you can see, I can start using Rembrandt, which is still relatively a hard pastel, but as you can see, I can begin to make, I can definitely begin to make this elbow and arm start to turn. And just soften this up. Now if I want to do that really strong highlight there, I can take something like an art spectrum or something, and I can apply it like this straight onto the surface. And then I could just go ahead and use my stump here, and you see how I could really work that light. And, you know, maybe even use my kneaded eraser to calm it down a little bit on the edges. But now you start to feel that, okay, that's an elbow coming forward. And Steve says he'll stick to aluminum panels. They'll last to a supernova. That's true. And so that's very true. And Brad says, when you glue together laminate two pieces of wood and play the grain against one another prevents the wood from warping. That's great. That's a great bit of information. Now, Brad is a master woodworker, so he's definitely somebody, a go-to person when we want to know about wood and its properties, that's for sure. So you see, now it's time to make this arm turn. So just like before, we're going to start off with our hardest pastel, because that will give us the smoothest application of pastel, but it won't be too soft or too much white. And I'm rubbing that into the surface. And that's how I paint in pastel when I'm doing a pastel painting. I rub the pastel into the surface, and what that does, it really gives you the ability to put down as much or as little pastel as possible. And also I'm creating that nice soft edge here. I'm making it soft edge because I want her face to be the most attention. Heath, how's it going? How you been, man? Good to see you. And we're just going to continue with that white from the white pastel pencil. And I can see as I'm working, I can definitely extend that light a little bit up here. Remember, it's not as bright as that because we were using a very soft pastel brand for that. There we go. So, and then we can go ahead and continue down here and just shape this arm here and just rubbing that pastel into the surface. And so we have our white pastel. Rub that onto our sandpaper, and just let's continue to shape this arm and bring it. So he says that he's been very busy at work, have had only 11 days off since Christmas, and haven't painted nearly as much as he would like. Wow, that's a lot of work. And oh, Steve says the highlight on her elbow makes the whole painting. Thank you, my friend. I appreciate that. Just anything we can do to really give it that illusion of her coming forward. Brad says he'd like to be able to say that he's a starving artist, but the fact of the matter is he's gained weight since this stupid Christ. A lot of us have. And I've gained a few pounds because they closed my gym. And I appreciate that compliment there, Steve. Thank you. And so we're going to smooth out that arm, really look at the musculature. This is her deltoid look like over here, and it's inserting into the back of her arm, which is the passive part of the triceps, the back end of the triceps here. Now, is a beautiful lady, but she's not working out with weights, so she doesn't have like a whole lot of definition here. But this is the passive part of her arm. Wow, Willie says he lost 10 pounds. Oh boy, that's a lot of weight. He says too busy, should slow down shortly. That's great. John says, Tim, what kind of pastel white are you using? For the most part, I'm using this, which is the Pit Pastel, and it's by Faber-Castell. It's a pastel pencil. And what I do is I use that and I rub it onto my pastel. I rub it onto my sandpaper, and then I just take this little tortilla and just go ahead and apply it like that. And this way I get to put down as much pastel as I want, you know. And now there's a little bit of a light here, just, you know, where the strap and the shoulder sort of meet. Just that little bit of light. See that little light peeking out right there? We're going to go ahead and do that. And let's do the same over here for her clavicle. Let's make her clavicle really start to sing with the light. And I think that will help create interest down here a little bit. And now we can always calm down. And I say, all right, you know, it's a little crazy. So I can just tap, tap, tap with the knead eraser, and I can calm down that shape there. And calm down that light. And let's go ahead and just rub that in and just extend this clavicle sort of coming down. So the clavicle's kind of a big shape over here, and this is the part that's actually hitting the light, I believe. And here's another part of the clavicle. Just a little bit. Just like that. So this is really where the rubber meets the road, and so that's what we are going to do, is we are going to establish some of the lights and darks, the subtle lights and darks in her neck here and in her chest. And when we do that, things are really going to start, you know, revealing themselves in other parts of her anatomy. And I definitely, it's good that we waited until this point, because otherwise it just would have been premature to work on those areas. And I could lighten an area like this, right? And now let's say I lightened it too much, like, oh boy. Well, just no fear, you can just use your knead eraser and you can just calm that down to the degree that you feel is good. You know, you don't have to just erase it and start over. You can just lightly tap that out, so that's good. And let's continue. And this is all very subtle, so we don't have to use the softer pastel for that. We can definitely take care of what we need to take care of with the pastel pencil. So I love it that we, oh, she's looking 3D. Thank you, Wendy. I appreciate that. And let's go ahead and move this down here. So we have a lot of people here, haven't been here in a while, so that's great. I appreciate it. And we're just going to continue working on this part of her. And looks like we have a little bit of white pastel, sort of, and you can tap on any pastel and that will just come off so easily, you know. And let's go ahead and really, and you can just sort of rub that pastel into the surface, and it does two things. It lightens it and also smooths it out, so it gives it a really nice finish. And you know, now is when we are basically fixing everything, making her like 100% you know, a completed painting. So it's Okay, here's a good spot. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our softer pastel. This is probably, I would say, Schmink, which is a German company. I'm going to use a specific. There's this highlight on her tooth here. And I'm just going to hit that just like that. There we go. And let's see if we can do the same here. Just little highlights here on her teeth. There we go. Just make her teeth feel like they're wet. There we go. I think that makes a difference. Not a big difference, you know. It's not like a major part of the composition, but I think it's cool. And, oh, he says, looks like a photo. Thank you. I appreciate that. Willie says, I know that I said it before, but this is his, oh, this is your favorite so far, Willie. That means a lot to me. Thank you, my friend. And this is actually a photo from a video still. I liked it, and I just decided to go ahead and use it. And then I manipulated it in Krita, you know, to work on edges and stuff like that. Thank you, Brad. I appreciate that so much. And Wendy, thank you so much. And yes, the little changes sometimes could really mean a lot, you know, Wendy? And this is part 6, so usually the last part, really. So we're going to get away from that really soft pastel. And we're just going to continue cleaning things up here. I'm just rubbing that in, you know, really rubbing that in, just really making her feel like she's right there in front of us. And this is the fun part. We did that hard part, you know, like the first couple episodes when we were still in the light mixture, remember? Like, Tim, when are you going to get done? That's what people are saying sometimes. Now, her nose, we're just going to work on some of the light hitting different parts of her nose. The luminosity, I know that's not a word, but the luminous qualities of her nose. And so that's what we want to do. We want to really feel the light as it's roaming over her form. And that's I think is a lot of fun at this stage. You really can feel, you know, that she's in three-dimensional space here. And you want your viewer to feel that way too. And of course, we're going to come in with dark highlights in a little bit, and that's going to really pop everything out even more. But we're in no rush. Right now it's 10:13, so we're making good time. So we definitely will complete her today, and she is available for purchase if anyone is interested. And you know, so she's a lot of fun to paint, and you know, I might paint her again. Wendy says a little changes, my little changes everything. No, not always. You've done some really fantastic pieces there, Wendy. Wendy's very talented. There we are. And just a little hint of just a little something there on the bottom part of her lip, just to, you know, bring that lip a little further away from her gum. I think will be cool. Remember, I can tap this and just calm down that white just to the point where I am happy with, you know? So I'm in control. I don't have to erase and start over. Okay, look here. There's just a little bit of light catching that eyelid just in the center part, just to put that, even though it's in shadow, there's detail in that shadow. I wish I known. I wish I known. She's amazing though, uh, and definitely, definitely want to paint her again. And so Wendy says her artwork actually goes through a major ugly phase. That happens sometimes, definitely. And you're not a bull in the no. You're not giving yourself enough credit, Wendy. You're fantastic. There we go. And Gloria, I don't know if Gloria's still here, but she did my class which was really great. She did my class that had to do with the the eye, and her eye was amazing. So I was very proud of Gloria with that. Little bit of light catching right here on this edge here. Just now we have to do that to make sure that her nose, we feel her nose really hitting that light. So I'm gonna actually exaggerate this a little bit because I want you to feel her nose. See that? Just that little thing. Oh, that's okay, we're gonna have another one, and don't worry, Gloria. That wasn't my best class, that's for sure. The eye was definitely a better class. So I'm gonna do better this week, Gloria. And Wendy, I'm gonna do better. Much better class. Gloria says she created a monster. No. Next time you're gonna this Saturday you're gonna do amazing, Gloria. And I also want to make sure, there's sort of light coming from below, like reflected light, so I want to exaggerate that just a little bit. It has a lot to do with her attitude, which is great. There's a little bit of light. Now I mean a little bit of light right here in the shadow area. So we're just going to indicate just a little bit of detail in that shadow area. See that? Now it's a little bit strong, so I'm just going to tap until I bring that into congruence. Oh, yes. So it's going to be Saturday at 9 o'clock, Willie. So that's going to be cool. So if you can make it, that would be great. Here on YouTube and also on Facebook. So whatever is easier for you guys. And I really want, I do both for that because I want everyone to enjoy it and everyone get a chance. You don't have to have that class was very challenging, Gloria, that's for sure. So this one is going to be challenging, but not as challenging. Maybe a little bit more fun. So I got to think of something really good. Good for you guys. And tap that, and you see I put a little detail in that area. And let's go ahead and just put slight detail right in here. Get this sort of transition tone correct. And we can tap that. There we go. All right. Now, right here, I can see that I can put a little more detail right there. There we go. So you really feel the light as it's sort of hitting her face, which is really good. There's a concentration of light here, so we're going to get our softer pastel, and I just want to hit some of this concentration here. I want you to feel, like I said, I want to feel that light as it's hitting her. No one posted their pic, so I think that's a good indication that my class was not the best. So next time, we're going to have a lot of people posting their pics. And like I just wanted to be a very simple, fun course that, everyone can enjoy. And I know we airbrush artists, we think everyone has an airbrush and a compressor in their house, but it's not the case. So as you see, I'm really just putting in a blast of light there. And that sort of comes from my days as a oil painter and pastel painter. Just really putting in that blast of light, a little bit of chiaroscuro, so to speak, and impasto. And, well, you know, I could have done better. This time I'm going to do better, though, Wendy, definitely. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to work on this arm, because remember, whatever we do on this side, we have to do on that side. And we definitely could soften things up and even things out on this side, which I think would be fantastic and definitely needs to happen. So let's go ahead and just soften this up. Now remember, detail inside the shadow areas. There we go. Just put a little bit of detail. And if I get a little crazy, I can always calm that down with the kneaded eraser. Just tap it until I get to where I want to be. And let's see if I lost an edge. I did, and I can just get that edge right back. Now over here, looks like I lost an edge as well, so let's get that edge back with the kneaded eraser. There we go. And let's pull that back in. I took off a little too much. There we go. And once again, get back that edge. Okay, so now on this side, we're going to actually start hitting a blast of light here. And we'll start with the pastel pencil. We might have to get softer, but right now we're okay. And we're just going to rub that in and start feeling that light. Oh, thank you. I appreciate that, Gloria. No, you're doing great. Wendy says she thinks she messed something up with the calculations of where stuff went. Well, it's all new stuff to you, so of course. We never get it right the first time. Those are very, very difficult concepts. Now right here we have a concentration of light. So I'm going to use my Rembrandt and my other, and we're just going to pick up this concentration of light right here. There we go. And I can see I lost my edge a little bit, and that's easily retrieved. There we go. Now we have this, remember we have this elbow just as before. Here's the hot spot right here. Right here's the hot spot. That's where the most concentration of the light's going to be right there. And let me just lower there you see. So now you can see what I'm doing. We're just going to put that hot spot in just like right there. And then sort of bleed out the light a little bit. And this is really important to catch the anatomy here. And Steve says, Tim, she's looking great. Thanks for always opening your doors. Gotta run. Steve, it's a pleasure and an honor to have you. And I love your work. And let me know when you go live, and I'll be more than happy to go ahead and see the great stuff you're doing. So thanks, Steve. Bill says, sorry, had to run off. He's painting a grassy field for a background. Needed to get it done so he can begin the foreground. Oh, okay, cool. Glad you're back. And Willie says that she looks like a girl from the past, but I'll bet she doesn't look like that anymore. Could be true, that's for sure. So hopefully she looks the same, but she definitely does have that sort of 80s look to her, doesn't she, in a sense? And we're gonna really work on the anatomy of her elbow here. And you know what else? It gets rid of overspray, which is really nice. And we're just cleaning it up, you know, cleaning up all the rough edges and the overspray. And that's the great thing about this technique. At the end, you really come away with, you know, just a, you know, a very clean piece. And let's continue here. And we can lighten this up just a bit. There we go. So I definitely have to be careful not to touch the pastel surface, because that would be bad at this point. And just rubbing that pastel into the surface. Whoop. Overextended. Very easy to happen at this stage, and very easy to fix. Very few mediums are as forgiving as pastels. So how many people out there have been working in pastels in the past? And if you have, what are some of the things you might have a question about the medium or something like that? Now, have you all known that you can definitely use pastel and airbrush together? Oh, so Willie said everybody's interested. That's great. And now Wendy has done pastel. That's pretty cool. And I don't know if you guys know, but I'm actually an established pastel painter, a signature member of the pastel painting, pastel Pastel Society of America is a signature member, which you have to be elected to. I think I've won close to 40 awards with my pastels, both nationally and internationally. And so, relatively speaking, airbrush is new for me. About 7 years ago I started, 7 or 8 years. Really started seriously. So Brad says he used very little on some of his scrollings, highlight some of his scrollings. Tone said he'd never tried. The reason why I say, because this could really be a blessing for your airbrush paintings. It really could, you know, if you combine the two, you could really do some incredible things, because they really go well together. And that's what I'm going to be doing in the future. I'm going to be doing a underpainting like this with using India inks, the P.H. Martin colored India inks. And also I'll be doing an underpainting for a pastel. So a couple of exciting things. I know it goes outside my niche, but you know, every once in a while, this is still going to be the main medium that I'm profiling, but I'll do some special things for you guys. And we'll see how it goes, you know, see if it causes more attention or less attention, and I'll deal with that accordingly. There's a blast of light right there on her chin, and let's go ahead and address that. Just a little blast of light there. There we go. So it looks like we're getting to the point where, you know, getting close to just doing the accents and finishing this off. Michelle, ¿cómo estás? Estoy muy contento a verte. So that is so cool. Michelle is here. Always great to see you. Yes, Michelle's in Mexico, so she's dealing with the, the whole quarantine thing down there as well. So good to see you, Michelle. Now what I'm going to do is make sure I have the angles of her mouth correct. And also the edge work there. So just paying a little close attention to the edge work really starts bringing out her expression. And just the way the light hits the top part of her lip there. And let's get back her little beauty mark there. There we go. So he says as he struggled using some of the colored inks, he would really like to watch me using them. Definitely. I'll definitely let you guys know. And so yeah, so I use the colored inks a lot like I would use Drew Blair's illustration white. If you guys use them, very similar. I use them as opaques, and so very much like that, almost like an oil painter would be painting them. So that's pretty much. Hey Rosa, how you doing? ¿Cómo estás? Rosie, how's everything? So glad you're here. So that's cool. Oh, so Michelle says her questions are, there's a link here to buy from Amazon through you, right? Do you ship to Mexico? Now, oh, I'm so sorry I missed that question. So let's see. I ship to Mexico for my India inks. I'll ship to Mexico, but those links, I don't believe they ship to Mexico, unfortunately, the Amazon links. But if anyone wanted to purchase either a painting or they wanted to buy my India inks, then definitely I ship to Mexico, no problem. Hey, what's up, Christian? Good to see you. How you been, my friend? So we got a lot of people here tonight. That's great. Thank you. I appreciate that, Christian, so much. Oh, so as far as shipping paint, I would say Dick Blick is still doing it. So I would give them a shot, definitely. So it's so glad you're here, Rosie. Is this the first time that you're here today? And yes, it has been, Brian. So glad you're here. And so we're just gonna put some life here in these shapes. And as you can see, just these little lights here in the shadows, you think don't make a big difference, but they really do in just making her feel like, she's a person with skin, which is really, really important. I'm going to just move around. You see I'm going to shape her hair a little bit. Hey, Luis, ¿cómo estás? From Panama. Que bueno. So looking awesome. Thank you. So I really appreciate that. Estoy muy agradecido, Luis. Gracias. Estoy muy contento to estás aquí. So that's so great. We have Luis and Michelle and Rosa. And so that's great. So we have a very good international flavor here, which I really love. And we have our Canadians in the house, which is wonderful. Oh, Loreto, Venezuelan, Venezolano, Viva Venezuela. So cool. That's a muy buen país. So cool. I love my Latin American friends. You know, they are so great. And so let's go ahead and maybe just start to make this sternocleidomastoid muscle right here. Let's make it more round, and it's sort of lighter on the bottom there. Very cool. And I know, like, my friends from the UK and Europe, a lot of times they can't make it because I think it's like 4 o'clock in the morning now or something like that. So that's rough. But I really am happy you guys take the time to come and hang out with me, and that's wonderful. And let's go ahead and continue to bring out some of the lights that are in the shadow, some of the luminosity, right? There's a lot of light going on in the shadows because light is bouncing around all over the place. So we definitely want to give an indication of that happening. And so right here we have a little bit of glare. So if you see, that looks like it's light, but in reality it's pretty dark. And I'll just move that light away. And you'll see that dark sort of come together. And see that's because of the glare. And let's see, where else can we work before we go into the dark accents? And okay, I think it's dark accent time. So we're going to take our airbrush and we're going to remove the medium mixture, and we're going to come in with the dark mixture. And what we're going to do is we're going to start to put in some of the dark accents and then come in with the regular liner brush or rigger brush, which is going to be cool. And these are my own inks. I have the light, medium, and dark mixture, and that basically helps you to follow along in my technique here. And you just use those inks, that's it. And you're able to get these real detailed paintings, which is really, really fantastic. And let's put a little more light on her there. There we go. So now we're doing dark accents. That's what it's all about right now. So let's go ahead and make this happen. We're going to deepen some of these darks just to create interest and give more volume. Just to really bring home, some of the power in this pose. And I'm just moving around looking for really nice darks I could really get in there, and maybe some edges, some sharp edges here and there. And I'm going to use my freehand shield. And so just keep moving around. Maybe there's a nice dark edge over here. Remember, perpendicular and not parallel, so important. And always, always looking. So right here we have a nice hard edge. Let's make sure we do that. Wipe it off, after each application. So I don't see any Just someone send me a quick comment just to make sure that we are getting the comments working here. Just a quick hi so I know it's working. As Roger Dangerfield would say, what is this, an audience or an oil painting? I know you're out there. I hear you breathing. Hey, Michelle. Okay, and Willie, thank you. So that's cool. Just making sure. Now I'm careful of overspray, so you know I'm very close. So that's very important to maintain that. Some beautiful hard edges here that we can go ahead and achieve. Let's make that happen. Perpendicular and not parallel. There we go. Oh, cool, cool. Thanks, guys. I appreciate that. And let's continue with these edges. So last month I started doing these in 2008. So last month I've been doing YouTube videos for 12 years. I mean, there was a time when I stopped doing them, but yeah, you can see some of my older videos were from March and April of 2008. That's when I was doing them the most until January of 2017. Since then I've been serious as a YouTube artist, or an artist that uses YouTube to, enjoy and reach fellow artists and collectors. So that's pretty cool. And it's been a wild ride, it really has. Oh, thank you, Michelle. I appreciate that so much. Yeah, it was, I remember when I first started, how difficult it was. And it definitely wasn't easy. YouTube was a lot different. These days, it's a lot of professionalism and, people making livings on it. But back then, it was just everyone was having fun. Nobody was making a living at YouTube. And so, yeah, things have changed. When I came back, around 2015, I started doing videos more regularly. And I was so surprised that, it was so serious with metrics and big business for some people. It's never been big business for me. I do make some money, but usually that goes right back into the channel, which is really cool. Oh, the first live stream. Good question. The first live stream was actually on Facebook. Facebook was my first live stream, and I believe it was when I was doing an color airbrush portrait, and I did a series, and I think that was, and the first one was the underpainting, and I was in my other studio. So yeah, that was, but then I started doing the live streams like this with, on horizontal, and that really changed the game. There was a time when I wasn't doing live streams and I was doing just proper videos, heavy editing and stuff like that. But when I started doing live streams, you guys were like, we learned so much from live streams because you can ask questions and all that. And so that was really, and then I said, I'm going to give people what they need, not necessarily what I want to do. And I think the live streams were very successful and are very successful. And because it's a great way to ask questions and to learn about it, and I think that's even better for a learning experience. And so Tone's taking a break from YouTube. That's a bummer. You do great videos, man, but I definitely understand. Sometimes you need to take a break, yes, and so I know you're doing great stuff, and so, so Tone says he has his mojo back, and that's cool. and because he does some great work. And let's make sure we get the shapes really nice here. And I just love, look at this. I'm just gonna make her eye turn a little bit, even more so than in the picture. Just a little bit like that. Wow, that just gives her a little more of a sultry look, doesn't it? It really does. And that's what I was after when I seen this. That sort of sexy, sort of, intimate expression that, very few people get a chance to see, from an individual, and I really wanted to express that. So that was the main thing. So Tone, it takes a while, it's definitely a learning curve, and you have to give yourself that ability to make the mistakes. But remember, done is always better than perfect. So you should see some of my first videos, man, they were horrifying. But I keep them up just for, to let people know that, it's not easy. I mean, my sound was terrible. It was just a horrible thing. And Bill is actually working very hard on his videos, and so he knows he's getting really good with the lighting and the sound, and your hard work and diligence really showing off there, Bill. And as the more you do it, the more you just get comfortable behind the camera. That all takes a lot of time. A little bit darker here in the center. Let me just make sure. See, a little bit darker right in the center of her eye, in the eyelid. There we go. Just a little things like here and there. So Bill says, hoping to do live streams as well soon. My PC won't stream. It is a PC. Yes. One of the hard, now I do make it look extremely easy because I failed a lot, with live streams. So I know, what it takes to make it work. And it really has to do with equipment and software and having a strong PC, and all those different things really are crucial to make the live stream go. Even the microphone, the lighting, everything, the camera, the tripod, the different angles, it's all just a lot of trial and error, Tone. Which number do you have in the airbrush? I actually have the dark mixture right now, and I'm just really doing the dark accents. So we're in the home stretch right now with this painting, Wendy, which is pretty cool. Now, pretty soon, and I think I'm gonna move into it now. I'm going to go ahead and move in with the paintbrush. But before I do that, let me get this hard edge right here. Perpendicular and not parallel. Will always steer you right. There we go. Soften this up significantly. There we go. Same thing here. This is very soft. There we go. And now, let's see if, and Bill says, hello, I didn't do a tutorial this week yet. See, that's the hard thing about doing the, regular videos, and because the editing is a killer, right? That's rough, the editing. And so Michelle says that was hard. Now, what was hard, Michelle? So I'm going to use the same dark mixture, and now what I'm going to do is I am going to work on some of the dark accents in her face. And I think we can definitely work on the lips there and the teeth. Just a little bit of darkness, just accents here and there, just to create some volume. You feel that tongue inside her mouth and that sort of thing. You just feel that volume. You know, now you can feel her tongue underneath there. And let's put a little highlight on her tongue, just like right there. There we go. So, oh wow, see that? Now you really start to feel that her tongue pressing up against her lip there. Her tongue pressing up against the teeth. There. Whoop. That I don't like. And we can fix that. And let's go back with the white pastel and just resolve that. There we go. So you see, you know, you can make some mistakes, but they are very easily fixed. So it's a very forgiving medium. Now we're working with dark mixture, so dark mixture is more playing for keeps, so you have to be extra careful, okay? Extra careful. And just like anything else, the lighter the touch, the lighter application of the ink. So let's see. So Bill says lighting in his studio was completely reworked after his first live feed when I was doing them on Facebook. That's very cool. Printer video was great. I enjoyed that. What worked for painting didn't work near as well for video. Yeah, you need a lot of light for video. So, and you need a lot of light and even more light. So that's the thing with video, is so much light is needed. And that's what I learned. More light, the better. Never too much light in video, right? I've never been to the point where, oh, there's too much light in here. Never. You can always darken things up, you know, with the camera. But if you don't have enough light, it's just going to look terrible. So you see, we don't really have much to do here. She's very close to completion. Now, there's really hardly any detail. And I'm not going to make up detail, so there's hardly any detail going on, you know, in her eyebrows and anything like that. And so actually try the standard setting instead of high quality on cheaper paper. Now oh, okay, you're talking about the printing. I see, okay. And so Willie says he has to go to bed, and good night. Willie, thank you so much for hanging out. It's always a pleasure. I'll see you Saturday night. Don't work too hard, my friend, and it's really important. Welders are important, so I can see, you know, that you have to work, because that's an important job you have, sir. So I really appreciate that. Thank you so much. Okay, any hard edges here? I think we could work on a hard edge right here. So we can probably establish that with the dark mixture and the pencil and this brush. Let's do that over here as well. There we go. Just create hard and soft edges, but really pay attention to where they are. So right here, there's some hard edges right here. And we have a hard edge right over here that we go ahead and pick up right here. Now, not where it goes down here, but right here we just have a hard edge, and then it softens up. So right there we can just establish that hard edge, and let it go soft. So right here we have a hard edge and then it softens up. And once that dries, it's going to look pretty good, okay? Okay, so now let's work on this ear. And you'll see when you put a lot of ink down, you know, like we are in the dark there, it erases really easily. Oh yes, Rosa, they are. Parts 1 to 5 are recorded on this YouTube channel. So you can watch them in their entirety, which is really good, and I highly recommend it. And they're all 2 hours, and so this would, part 1 to 5 would go all the way up to here, which is really pretty cool. So, so that would be interesting to catch. And feel free to email me if you watch them and you have any questions, Rosa. Oh no, Gloria, your phone is dying. Have a great night. Thank you so much for hanging out. And good luck tomorrow. I hope you have fun going out tomorrow. And you know, it's good to get out of the house, even though we have to, right? To get stuff. So take care, Gloria. I want to hear all about your adventure out there. It was pretty weird when I went out today. There we go. And so we are getting very close. We might end before the 11:30 tonight. I don't want to make up stuff to do. There's always stuff we can do, but I'm getting close at the point where I can just say, you know what, I could call it the night and call it a painting and then go forward, you know, and I could start preparing for next week, the new project. And so I'm back with the dark mixture, and I'm just cleaning up some edges here. Take care, Gloria. Like I said, we have a nice hard edge right here, and then let it get soft as it goes back into space. So you see, we can actually, with edges, we can create the illusion of her her elbow coming forward. And you see, we can start describing some of the muscles in her arm, which this is her tricep. 1 second rule is going to keep us from going in a direction that is not, you know, what we're seeing. We have to always concentrate on what we're seeing. So this, of course, was a photo that wasn't a 100% perfect photo, you know. I just wanted to do something that was a challenge, you know. And that's why I actually took it from a video still. So that's something you definitely can do. Louise says, please upload a good scan of her on Facebook. I definitely will, that's for sure. So John says, so what do you like better, Tim, airbrush painting or pastel? Interesting question. I'm in a dilemma because I like pastel and airbrush equally. I feel equally guilty when I'm not doing one or the other. So that puts me in a really rough position. Hey Steve, how you doing? Steve says, looks great, Tim. I remember when she looked like an abstract painting. Thank you, my friend. I appreciate that. Yes, she comes together, right? And so I appreciate that, Steve. And Luis, I will definitely upload this to Facebook for sure. And yeah, I love pastel and I love airbrush. Airbrush is new and exciting, but I don't know. I mean, pastel, right? You just have the most amazing color in the world to use, right? I love that. And that's really fantastic to use. Uh, you know, if you love color, there's no more pure form of painting than working in pastel. However, if you love black and white, then I feel there's no better way to work in black and white than with India ink and the airbrush. So there are two mediums I just really love and really love sharing. Same thing with airbrush. I have my own technique, and in pastel I have my very own technique. So both ways are just very much my own adaptation of working. So, oh well, thank you, Steve. I appreciate that. So you see my pastel work a lot. I do have some web pages I should put back on my website of all my pastel paintings. Yeah, I have countless pastel paintings, countless, just all over the place, and. So we're just going to continue. Okay, so right here, I can get a little darker. And like I said, it's getting to the point where we're getting close to the point where if I do anything else, it's really just extra. It's really when you just feel you said what you wanted to say. It's not really, how realistic I can make it. I just want it to be, the reason why I started the painting, the expression that drew me to her, and, and I want to, achieve that. Once I do, then that's... So, Steve, you are dying... Oh, you would love pastel, especially with your pet portraits. My God. You definitely should. So, I'm going to do some pastel demos here, which is going to be pretty cool. And I think you'll enjoy them. And also Color India ink, paintings. So those are definitely down the pipe pretty shortly. Whether it's going to be the next live stream or not, I'm not sure. I want to paint Maria Felix. That's Michelle told me about her. Is a very famous Mexican actress from the 20th century, and so she would be great to paint. So remember, guys, perpendicular and not parallel. Oh, okay, so he says, what white paint do I use? Well, when I'm painting Bombay, I probably will be I do use the Bombay white, the P.H. Martin's white, but when I'm working in white here, I use my own mixture, 2020 illustration white, Drew Blair by Createx, and the 4012 reducer, and then I go ahead and use that, and that's how I do my first initial white when I'm painting in this technique. When I'm doing color technique in airbrush using the India inks, the Bombay India inks, I use the Bombay white, but what I'm doing is I'm actually going ahead and thinning it down dramatically. Let me see if I could. So I thin that down dramatically, and let's see if I can just add some color here. So it's pretty close. So yeah, so I'll add a lot of the white to get this really nice texture, very thin, and it also keeps me from getting blue shift, which is really cool. So this is some of the experiments I've been using with the Bombay India ink, and just having a good time with it, really. So, and I'm going to actually do that more in the future. I'm going to probably do it So these you can use, and I do use, and the reason why I started doing these was because of the, how do you say, one of the reasons why I've been doing this is because of the, I used to do them as underpaintings for my pastel paintings. And then little by little, I started to decide to do these as full works of art on their own, you know. And yes, Maria Felix, yes, the shadows on her photographs is so fantastic. And so thank you, Wendy and Tone. And so yeah, so we're definitely gonna come in there, and as you can see here, we're getting very close to completion of this. So this may be a short live stream, and so that's, or I can definitely go over some of the things I'm working on. But yeah, we're getting very close to the completion of this. I do have one that I started, which is not going to be part of the live stream, but I can do that for the last 20 minutes. So in essence, I'm definitely going to call her done. I'm going to take my, yeah, you know, it's getting to the point where if I do more, then I'm just going to perhaps do something that I don't want to do. So she is definitely done. Let's go ahead and sign it. Oh, okay. So look, one more time for my friend over there in Illinois. We're just going to just do a little. There we go. That's for you, Steve. There you go. And a little bit of highlights here and there just to pull things out. This beautiful, beautiful woman here. Maybe just a little highlight right here on her tooth. There we go. There we go. Look how beautiful she looks. Thank you, Michelle. So you see that? Just for you, Steve. And here we go. We'll sign her. And 2020. So she is in the books. So that was a lot of fun. I enjoyed painting her. And I'm going to put her online. And so that was part 6. So we really got her done, and I just love the abstract quality of her hair and just a lot of the sexiness of it. And thank you, I appreciate that so much, and I definitely do. And but thank you so much. And let me just fix the color here. Color got a little weird, and whoa, look at that saturation. Okay. There we go. Okay, cool. So we're going to put her away. So, but I'm going to show you what I'm working on, which is pretty cool. I think it's pretty cool. And let me see if I can get her out here. So this one is called the Scream, and pretty exciting. Oh, thank you. So Brad says I knocked it out of the park. I appreciate that, and thank you, Steve. And Rosa, thank you so much. So glad to have you here today, and I appreciate your encouragement. And so as you see, I have this, and let's see if I could get that reference out for you. And I actually played with the reference on Krita. So I took a regular photograph and changed a lot of the lights, the edges in Krita. There was a lot of fun. And let's see if I can pull that up real quick. So add source. Media, and we'll go to, where is she? Now I called her Scream. And let's see, where do I have her? And I probably have her in female news, do I? Let's see. This is like the second painting I'm doing of a woman screaming. Probably screaming at me, probably from memory, right guys? I don't know. And girls. So let me go here real fast. I'll just show you the picture. And, you know, and the same thing, this is a good way to see, you know, how important it is to actually work on the lines in the drawing. It's actually very crucial. So here's a reference, as you can see. And so this is, you know, what I'm working with right now. And we'll just move this over. And so what I'd like to do in the very beginning is really get all the angles correct. That's so important. And as far as like little values and everything, I'm not really worried about that as much. But really what I'm worrying about is the anatomy. Like right here, if we notice in the picture, this right here, the way her skull sort of turns up here and comes out of here is very important. So those are things that are going to be landmarks for the actual painting itself. And I'll just try and find the shape. It's not going to be perfect. As I paint more and more, it'll get clearer or more clear. And that's one of the things that I really try and, even though I may have projected this or used other means to get it on the surface, that doesn't mean that I did everything correctly. So we definitely are double checking now while we're in pencil, because the pencil is definitely going to be something that we're much more comfortable with than the actual airbrush. Now right here, if you see, we have a line in the hand as it goes to the face, right? But if you really look at that line, you'll see that it gets thick and then gets really thin, almost disappears, then gets thick again. And some of the line actually is like a little bit of a cast shadow onto her face. And then you see it gets thin again. Now I like to, when I'm painting, I like going from the bottom to the top. So I like actually moving not just down, but come up, and then we can meet at that midpoint, which is you know, a lot easier to be accurate. So don't just draw from one direction, draw from both directions. You will be very pleasantly surprised. So this isn't part of the live stream, this is just a project that I've been working on. And you can see that the chin actually comes in a little bit further or closer. The chin actually goes inside the hand a little bit and then comes up. We want to look at what angle it is. And how I look at angles, I'll say like, what time would it come up? Does it come up at 5 o'clock? Does it come up at 6 o'clock? This comes up between 12, more towards 1 o'clock. This angle right here. So that's how I look to when I'm actually drawing. So you see, we got to this stage of the end painting, right? We finished that painting, and now, you know, to get to this stage, you know, we have to do all the legwork in the actual line drawing, which is so important. So we do have just a couple of minutes. I always give you guys the full 2 hours. So that's why I'm just going to do a quick drawing, just show you some of my decision making when I'm drawing, okay? So that helps. And then same here, we'll just look at this line here, the hairline. Remember how in the other painting, hairline was crucial, and it's still just as important. Everything looks very harsh now with the lines, but the things are, it's going to come back. It's going to come together in the end. It's a recipe, and you definitely don't want to, taste anything before you're done cooking it. And so this is the beginning part of my pastel paintings, same beginning part of my color paintings, whether I'm working in oils or acrylic or what have you, with airbrush, always starts with this line drawing. This is the beginning. This is the brick and mortars of any work of art that I'm doing. Even my digital work, even that as well. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and bring up Krita and show you some of the things I did in Krita to make this a more interesting painting. So you see the painting here, the edges are all generally very hard and harsh, and I want to show you guys what I did to make this even better for a painting. So let's see, do I have it here? I'm going to go ahead and open it, and let's see if I can pull that up. It'll just be one quick moment. It's just, this is something I think that's very important for you guys to learn. And I'm going to see if she's over here. I'm just going to, just give me a quick moment, guys. It's going to be worth it, trust me. It's not here. Let's try here. Nope. Pictures. It's horrible. You can't find it sometimes when you're looking, you know? It's, let's see here. Pictures. Let's see. Where could she be? Where would I put her? Sometimes you put things away so perfectly that they are so perfect you can't find them. And that's basically what's happening now. Let's see. I'm going to give up in a second. Let's double check here. I'll try downloads. You never know. Last ditch effort. Okay, so basically I was going to show you guys how I would soften edges and stuff like that. So it doesn't look like I have that ability because I can't find that image, which will probably be right there. Oh, here we go. Yay. Okay, I got it. So I'm going to actually pull up that picture. It's in, okay, so let's go here so we can compare and contrast. Yeah, you too, Michelle, huh? So I'm not the only one. So thank you for that, Michelle. I appreciate that. So let's go ahead and pull up that other image and you'll see what I did. Like I really want this to, I really want to show you because I think it's very, very important. Okay. Here we go. Here's the other image. And so you can see how I blurred things out in this image compared to this image. So to me that's like really crucial, as you can see that. So John, have a great night, man. It's great to see you. And I hope to see you on Saturday when we have the, the Facebook and YouTube lesson. So definitely always great, John. Thank you so much. And let's see here. So Steve says, gotta believe and trust your process. There is an ugly stage in every work that he's done and done somewhere. Yes, I definitely know what you feel. You know how. So you see here, this is what I manipulated in my Photoshop type program. So this is the reference that I began with, and this is the reference that I'll be working with. So in the program, using filter masks and stuff like that, I went ahead and blurred this out. So that's really important, I feel, to... Oh, okay, so Michelle, have a great night. It's great to see you. Thank you so much. And, I really appreciate your time and all your great questions. So thank you. I appreciate it. And so definitely, if you have any questions of why I blurred out here and kept this area sharp, because if you look at this picture on the left and you look at the picture on the right, this is where you can actually begin the creative process of making things come forward, right? You want her face to come forward, and you want the back of her hands to go back, and also the shoulders you want to go back into space. So let's see. So Tone, have a great night. Good to see you. Stay healthy as well. Thank you so much. And so this is, to me, a really important thing, because we could just take a photo, right? And just say, okay, I'm just going to paint from that photo. But if you look at the slight changes I did on the right, as opposed to what I have in the left, are going to go a long way with creating an image that just has visual interest. So I hope that makes sense. I really do. So let me get rid of this image, and we'll put the one we're going to be using over here like that. Okay. So what we're going to do is continue working this out. Now over here, as you see in the image I have now, this is super blurry. But I'm still just going to make sure I got that shape right. And we're just going to get that established, so when I do go into India ink, all my linear decisions are made. So that is very crucial. Now right here, if you look in my image, this is hard edge, and then this gets super soft. But what I'm going to do is I'm still going to make sure that I have the general contour right on the money. Same thing here. We want to make sure that this shape here is actually a positive shape, not a negative shape. But this shape is good. But as I look at the reference, I'm going to make that very, very soft edged, very blurry, because we want her face and the drama to come out. And I think having both hard and soft edges will actually increase the drama. Same thing here. So here's a good question. A lot of people might ask me, Tim, how do you approach teeth, especially something like this, which is a little sharper than the last painting, which is more sultry and soft-edged everywhere? I'm actually going to use some Frisket film, and I'm going to get that really beautiful hard edge in her teeth there, because I think it's really an important aspect of this painting. And then this teeth is sharp, and it's sharp here, then it gets fuzzy over there. And those are things I'm making physical notes with my pencil, as far as drawing them in, but also mental notes of how I'm going to approach this work of art. So that is, it's like playing chess, right? You are going to have a game plan. You're going to set up your pieces before you even attempt to put your opponent in check. Same thing here. You're going to set things up before you even think about going into using India ink or the airbrush or something like that. So this is a very important element. Now right here, you see you have this dark here, right? So what we're going to do is we are going to make sure we get that, even although a very thin shape, we want to make sure we get that shape correct. So that's important. Now over here, this is sort of an extension of a very thin hair, but we definitely can paint that in, no problem. Same thing over here. Now here's an interesting part. So right here, if you see, we have her collar, and it pretty much continues from both sides. And so that's sort of like a pincer movement, and that's where we'll arrive at where that collar is. So we're going to come from this direction, and we're going to continue the collar. And we see that it goes up a little bit. And we're going to come from this direction, and it comes down. So this is a much more accurate way to draw that collar. Come from this way and come from this way, and with those pincer movements we're going to arrive exactly where we want. You want to draw that way. You don't want to draw from one direction. You have the ability to go from both directions, and then you arrive at the exact point of conversion of those two directions. A lot easier and a lot more accurate. So I highly recommend that. So that's very important. So we're in the last few minutes here, and I'm just going to continue just showing you my decision making in this early stage. Okay, so right here we can work on this contour, which is her trapezius muscle. And so Luis says those blurs you're talking about is depth of field in photography. You use it to establish first and second plane objects on the photograph. Exactly. But a lot of times I'm not taking the photograph, Luis. So I use the filter mask and transparency mask in Krita or a Photoshop program, and I can create those, and I can create that blur that wasn't there. So I could actually go ahead and manipulate the depth of field myself. So I can sharpen, let's say, the hand, and I can blur the shoulder to make sure that hand comes up. Very good question, Luis. I really appreciate that. But what I really wanted to bring home was that, we're not going to depend on a photographer to get exactly what we want. We can go into Photoshop and we can go ahead and get the exact photograph we want by manipulating it, which is very cool. And I think that's something, and evidently you have a very good understanding of photography. So that's really good, Luis. Great question. Very good question, sir. And so right here, we have a very soft edge here. So I'm just going to soften that up there. And I got to watch out I don't put detail that's not there. Right? That's a real concern. And so right here, we're going to work on this. Oh yes, from photography and 3D development. Oh, very cool. That's very cool, because depth of field is so important in photography, but I also feel that in painting it's so important. Back in the old days, the old masters didn't have photography, but we have photography, and we can use the same depth of field to create to really direct the viewer's eyes where we want them to look, and just create more interesting visual paintings. There's a very, very light mixture, very light shadow here. Just going to make sure I get that shape correct. See, it comes in, and just make sure I get that correct, because it's so important to get this amazing expression on her face. She's angry, frustrated, kind of like what's going on now, with everyone, with this whole virus thing. It's really rough, and that's kind of what drove me to this piece. And so as you can see, I'm really going to take my time getting the drawing correct. It's so important and so crucial. This is all going to be so soft edge, and it's going to be very interesting. And also, you know, how I use the frisket here and there, because I don't want to lose the soft edge, but I do want clean quality between, especially this area and the shadow, because I will be painting in the shadows and the background. Same thing here. Remember, I did this part of her orbital ridge, and then I'm just going to work on this part right here. Okay, so it's 11:30, guys. Thank you so much for spending this day with me this evening. So don't forget, on Saturday night at 9 o'clock Eastern time, I'm going to have a live stream for all, just giving back to everyone. Just need a piece of paper, eraser, and a pencil, and you'll be fine. She's angry and frustrated due to that's exactly it, Louise. That's my exact point of view. So hopefully that will come across. And so yes, I agree that the quarantine is making us all that way. So guys, Louise, thank you so much for hanging out. Wendy, Brad, everyone, it's just been a lot of fun. So I enjoyed doing this painting, and I had a little extra time to show you my drawing process. So guys, have a great night, and stay safe, and keep washing our hands, and take care of yourself.